سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله وصحبه ومن والاه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I would like also to present my paper concerning Qadie court system, since it was established during the colonial days, up to date, and its development, and the area that we lack and we need to enhance. I will say the paper, it was prepared before, about 1 year ago, to tell President CJ about the reality and fact concerning Qadie courts and where we should start to develop it. So, situation analysis on Sharia court system in the Gambia. Introduction. Number one, the Gambia enjoyed Sharia adjudication well before colonial era, since 18th century. Imams and alcalos were the presiding officers over all dispute matters among their communities. When British colonial power settled in the Gambia and controlled adjudication system, Banjul Muslim elders requested from the governor of the colony by name Sir George Chadin Denton to allow them adjudicate matters related to their personal affairs be regulated according to Sharia. Based on that, an ordinance dated 4th day of July 1905 was enacted by the Colony Council granting the mentioned requests. Establishment of the first Sharia court. Following the aforementioned enactment, the first court was established in Banjul, we call Muslim court those days. Be careful about the names and the development about the names of the court. The first court was called Muslim courts. Why it changed and what caused it is need to be studied very well in our gathering today. The first court was called Muslim court. One Qadi Suleiman Gay was the first Muslim judge appointed on the 2nd day of January 1906. Then an act called Muhammadan Act, put on the line Muhammadan Act. Why it is Muhammadan Act? So it was also very important. An act was prepared to regularize Sharia court procedure and practice, which states thus that subject matters of Sharia courts are, be careful, look at this, marriage, divorce, succession, gift, endowment, maintenance, will, custodian. How many subject matters? Marriage, divorce, succession, gift, endowment, maintenance, will, custodian. These were the subject matters offered for the Qadie court to be adjudicated in those days. Another court was established at Combo based on the said act. Background of development of Sharia court. I would like to focus on development touch jurisdiction of Qadie court in terms of subject matters, territorial and person limited to, as well as hierarchy and number of the court as following. I will talk about jurisdiction development, territorial development, and also person subject to, and numbers of the court being established since establishment of the Sharia in Gambia. Number one, concerning jurisdiction. A, subject matters jurisdiction. According to the ordinance enacted by Legislative Council of the Colony 1905, followed Mohammedan Acts, the jurisdiction of Qadie court was limited on the following areas that mentioned supra, the eight number, marriage, divorce, succession, etc. That it was followed by several amendments of the constitutions until it was limited to marriage, divorce, inheritance. How many? Three. From where? To? What caused it? Who was consulted? Who was representing the Muslims? This is the question mark today. And why it is narrowed down to three. This is the question. Okay, now the present constitution, 1997 constitution, narrowed all these subject matters areas to only three areas. It is very, very, very difficult. Okay? Territorial or geographical jurisdiction. Concerning territorial jurisdiction, Islamic courts were only limited at Banjul since establishment of the court 1906 up to 1949. 1906 to 1949, about 46 years, there were only one court at Banjul. And then seconded to another one at Bakau those days, then transferred to KMC. These two courts were in the system since 1950 up to 2000. We have only two Qadie courts in the system. But there was a reason for that. There is difference between what we call Qadie court system or Muslim court system and Sharia adjudication in our system. We want to go back little. When colonial people came, as any other part of the world, here in the Gambia, people were adjudicating their matters according to their beliefs. Because Muslim as a religion, Islam as a religion is complete set of life. We don't have what we call separation. We give something to Allah and others we give it to John or any other party. Islam comes to guide us, to adjudicate our life, to administer our life according to our beliefs. When they came, they divide the country to two parts, protected area and colonial areas. Protected area is what we call Dehgi. And colonial area, Banjul and Komba St. Mary Town extra. They take responsibility, or they took responsibility to develop this area. That's why they established courts, Sharia court in those days, in Banjul only. Later on, they established another one to Bakau. But the rest area, they were adjudicating their matters according it was before. This is very important matter. That's why Gambian people, they are Muslim in their tradition, their culture, because it was not changed totally until recently. When we have our own people making our own law, now things start changing. But before, it was like that. So this is very important to be clarified. That's why you will have in our laws of the Gambia, source of Sharia laws in the Gambia, you have constitution, you have district tribunal acts and Mohammedan acts. In the constitution, it is mentioned two, in section 7 and in section 137. In section 7, where the constitution is mentioning the laws of the Gambia apart from the constitution that could be applied in Gambia. Among those laws, Sharia laws, but limited in three areas: marriage, divorce, and inheritance. And I know inheritance is hooked now to be taken out because of fundamental right of women. Be careful. Okay? So now we go to personal jurisdiction. Person subject to Sharia court. The person subject to Sharia court, according to Mohammedan Acts, were only Mohammedan African. In those days, in the colonial, they have what they call Mohammedan Africans and Mohammedan non-African. Lebanese, Mauritanians, Algerians who are Arabs living in the Gambia, the court jurisdiction doesn't touch them. Only Mohammedan African who are blacks and Muslims staying in Banjul, they were the only person subject to go to those courts in those days. That's also very important. Only that was the case until 1997 Constitution, which said the person include all people, all communities in the Gambia who are applying Sharia. That's also another very important area. All communities that applying Sharia. So that means you may have in the Gambia communities are not applying Sharia. Yes, maybe we have Christianity. Those people, they are not subject to them. But I don't think Muslim community in the Gambia, we cannot imagine where we have Muslim communities saying that we are not applying Sharia. So that we need to change such clauses from the constitution to allow Qadie court or Sharia matters be applied to all Gambian citizens particular Muslims. That's very important. In that matter also, we have a problem in constitution. We need to be addressed. Because they say, Gambia Court, section 37, the jurisdiction of Qadis is to apply Sharia on three major areas: marriage, inheritance, and divorce, between parties or who are interested are Muslim. Where the parties are Muslim or the interested party is a Muslim. But if the interested party is not a Muslim, there is a question. The court has jurisdiction to take that matter or not. Still now we have the problem in our court. For example, a man married woman, Christian woman, and the man died, or want to take divorce, children, issues of the children, inheritance. Which court will take the matter? Still now is disputed in our court. So we need to address that also in our present constitution, inshallah. Hierarchy of the courts. When the court were established, it was only magistrate court or Qadi court, one level of adjudication. Since the colonial day up to recently, 1997 constitution. In matters of appeals, sometimes there was a policy: if an appeal raised, then Chief Justice, those days Chief Justice, the hierarchy of Chief Justice was High Court Judge. Because also when you go to the conventional court, in those days our highest level was only hierarchy, High Court. So the case should be looked at by Chief Justice. But Chief Justice will invite one Tamsir. Do you know Tamsir? Huh? Tamsir is the man who well landed in Sharia, but this Tamsir will be selected by Banjul Muslim elders. That's why Banjul Muslim elders, really their history with the Qadi court is very far. They are the one who requested to be established in Banjul, and they were also the people who used to select Qadis to the courts. This should be known because they have done a lot about Qadi court. So you are the children of those people. Look your turn also, what's supposed to be done. So the Chief Justice will invite Tamsir to sit with him. This Tamsir will guide him what to do. But the decision will come from who? Chief Justice. Later on, they say no. Chief Justice, as a Chief Justice, his power in law doesn't allow him to take idea of anybody. So why he will consult anybody and bound to that idea? So they say, let me transfer the appeal to one of the High Court judges who is under the Chief Justice. But the problem also, all the challenges came, it was about if this High Court judge, because most of those High Court judges were not Muslims. So how a Muslim matter be adjudicated under a person who is not belong that religion? That was also another challenge. So what they say later, they say now appeals will be made in form of review in the same court. But when it is in Banjul, let me invite people from the Kanifing, when it from Kanifing, people from Banjul. Until 1997, when they make provision called 137A to establish what they call Qadie Appeal Panel, which is I am leading today. So this Qadie Appeal Panel, we have to look also at the name. Panel. Panel is something attached to other things. It's not separate. So we don't have, our court is not a court. According to the constitution, it's not a court. It's a panel. Could be formed at any time and could be dissolved at any time. So this is also the situation. I'm talking about the situation, present situation of the constitution according to Qadie court to let you know and how to go on. So that was the case until now. So now we have two hierarchy of adjudication. Number one, Qadie court level. Number two, Qadie appeal panel level. The question is, the other adjudicate areas. As we know, in the Gambia we have three major areas for adjudication. Conventional adjudication, Sharia adjudication, and customary adjudication. In conventional adjudication, you have almost four hierarchy, from magistrate to High Court, the Gambia Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court. The question is, we are the courts dealing with adjudication for the same people. Some of them are allowed to get four hierarchies, and others are not allowed. So this is the question, what should be our position? This is also among the areas that we need to touch in the constitution to address it. Like other countries, as far the adjudication is one, there should not be discrimination to give some people certain limit and others no limit. This is also very important. That concerning the hierarchies of the court today, a number of the courts now, as I say, it was only two courts, Banjul and KMC, for more than almost 100 years, because it was 1906 up to 97, nearly 100 years. Then another court in 2000, year 2000, another court was established at Bundung High Court, at Bundung Magistrate Court, which was established by Qadie Masamba and myself. And then on 2010, Birkama, 2011, Karawan, 2012, Basse, 2015, Mansakonko and Bansang. These are the number of the courts now we have in the system. It came because the 1997 Constitution gave Chief Justice power to establish court at anywhere in the Gambia he see it deemed to establish a court. Meanwhile, the former Constitution limited only courts that established by the government in Banjul and KMC. Because in other area, they continue the system of colonial system where the people were adjudicating their matters through district tribunal. That's why the law also mentioned in district tribunal also subject matters concerning Sharia. But when you go to district tribunals, the subject matters of them is wider than that we have in Qadie courts. Because in district tribunal, they can adjudicate custodian, marriage, guardianship, extra. Meanwhile, in Qadie court, no. That's why we have still conflict in terms of appeals. According to the Constitution, they say we are receiving appeal from both courts, the district tribunal courts, where the matters concerning Sharia, and also from the Qadie court. Me, I receive appeal from both courts. This also needs to be addressed, whether to live like that or to take all Sharia matters to the Qadis. I think among the issues that raised in the Constitution and need to be addressed. Court names. Court names. Or before court name, we come to the court sitting system. When the Qadie's court was established, it was the tradition that Qadie sit alone. One Qadie sit alone, hearing the case from beginning to the end. That was the case until 1997 Constitution Court, which said that, or states that Qadie cannot sit alone. There must be a panel consist of 3 Qadis sitting together, hearing the cases. So this is the case up to date. Are we going to stay like that or not is also a question mark. While the other courts, only one magistrate, single high court, up to the Court of Appeal where you have panel of 3. Last court names, I told you that before, we call Muslim court, as mentioned earlier in 1905, then Mohammedan court, then now we call it Qadie court. So what is our problem on the name? Some say we should not mention Islamic court. Some say no, we should not mention Sharia court. So what should we call it? Do you know what Qadie court means? Judge court. Qadie means judge. Judge court? That's the perfect name. So the name is not perfect. It's not reflecting the reality. Muslim court, they say when you say Muslim court, this is also a matter of discrimination. That means the other religion, they need to have their own court. So I think the best name is to call it Sharia courts. So this is the area that we need to address In briefly, this is the history of background about Qadie Court, how it was established, and the development, and the names, and what we need. Really, I believe, in my recommendation, we need to have the same system aligned with the conventional courts, where you have single Qadie from lower courts, and then you have High Court Qadie, Sharia, we call Sharia High Court, and then you have in Court of Appeal what we call a division, where you have group of Qadis sitting there looking for the matters, and also in Supreme Court, we need that to be integrated fully in the system. So when we do that, we will have goodly. But the more important area we are facing is about jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is very, very important. Now, Children's Court is established to remove some jurisdiction like maintenance and children affairs from Qadis. Women Act also, it is prepared to take matters of women to a special court which is dealing with the other courts. So I think we believe we have to enhance Qadi system to the level that, like the other countries like Morocco, where you have what they call family law or family court. The court deal with man, woman, and children together, because they are one person, you cannot separate them. So we now facing difficulties in about jurisdiction, particular in area of gift. When gift is inspired between marriage or between family, and then mirrors come, we have conflict. They say this is gift, we have to take it to a conventional court first, and then look it, and then you come back. This is difficulties I think we need to address that. Also, the Qadie Court is very, very, very important in society. The number registered by the court tells you how far the people get confidence in the Qadie Court. Go to Birkama and ask them how many cases they have per year. More than 300 to 400 cases. And ask any other magistrate court in the Gambia, where they have wider jurisdiction in terms of subject matter. We, the Qadie Court, have more cases than them. What that indicates is a question mark. This is a question mark. Number one, what I want to close my remark. In the past, maybe there were not enough experts in Sharia to be consulted to tell the lawmakers the fact on the ground and how to feature it. But now, that is not longer. As for we have people like doctor in the university and others, and you in the future, there are no room to be, how to call it, tahmish. Marginalized. There are no room to marginalize Muslims. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.